Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our uranium technical analysis update. We're going to take a look at the charts. I'm going to use the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust as a proxy for the physical price, and I'll let you know what's going on here. So let's dive into the charts. Let the charts do the talking. So this one is less. So here we go. Here we go. So I drew this in a little earlier. We can kind of draw this out here. And we're right at that point where we're at resistance line, support line, I should say, support line. We're coming on up. Let me draw this in a little bit differently. Oh man. Somewhere in this range here. There we go. So we're coming on up. There's our support line. You can see the pattern it has. We broke out to the upside. It's coming back to that return move. And hopefully we can get some traction and move on higher here. We do have a little bit of a downtrend line still in play here. Big up days, some small down days. So looking at Bannerman. So here's Bannerman Energy going in the African crew, backing out. Big old pattern here. You can see some drawings I've got there. Let's zoom into it. We've got a pattern. Let's go 1 year. We broke this pattern to the upside, broke another one to the upside. We're creating one. We kind of came down to the downside, but it's not really on high volume. So declining volume, we'll see. Usually you've got the declining volume on this up move. Man, I'd like to see someone step in here and do something to little Banny. But we broke to the downside here, and we're just meandering sideways. I don't see any huge sell-off or anything. So continue to monitor it. Here's Goviax. We got the big downtrend break here. Broke out of that. Looking at the 5 year, go into the 1 year. We got this downtrend line that we broke. Shot higher, rocket higher. Coming in here, we broke to the downside here. Let's zoom in. Zooming in, here's our kind of wedge that's forming. If we can move to the upside here, I'd say that, it might be a good spot to be looking to add some shares if you like Goviax and you're patient. But to me, it looks like we kind of broke to the upside here today. I drew this in the day before and it filled right to the bottom of it and broke to the upside. So this works pretty well. So Goviax looks good. Here's Global Atomic. Big old move up. Zooming on in, downtrend break to the upside. We've got this pattern that's filled and it broke to the downside here. Keep zooming on in there. There's the pattern. There's the break to the downside. I'm looking at the candlesticks now. I don't see huge sell-off. I mean, here's our break there, the big sell-off break. Big up day, small sell-off, big up day. And then just a slow leak off of sellers today. So it doesn't look horrible. I'd like to see the buyers come in and see if we can reverse this trend. Now here's Forces Metals. There's the big trend there. Coming on, big old downtrend break here. That's your downtrend break. Make it a little bit thicker so you guys can see it. There's kind of a break to the upside. We got this big old pull pattern on the right-hand side there. You can see it's still in the pattern there. You can see it bouncing and squeezing on up. Let's jump way in there. And we've got this downtrend line that is still intact right now. So that's what we've got for the trend here. We got to break that and start moving on up. We're still in a little downtrend. Go back to a big picture view on deep yellow. Seeing sideways, kind of a hard looking chart here. We broke that sideways movement, that resistance line. We're still above it, creating a flag pattern. We're dancing with this lower line right now. We still have support there, but we're playing with it. We played with it up here, came back, played with it down here. We'll see if this line holds. We'll see what it does. But this pattern is usually a bullish pattern. You come into the pattern from the downside up, consolidate up, and then break to the upside. That's usually what happens. Now here's Skyharbor. I haven't drawn anything on this guy here. We'll leave it in its raw state. We broke that downtrend line. We're looking for a return move. We broke, we returned, did a return move, and we're sitting here bouncing back and forth. You know, this doesn't look bad. It's a low risk spot, I think, to be looking at buying some of this stuff. Because if we come down here, I mean, we got good support right underneath it. So this area down here doesn't look too bad, in my opinion. If you guys want to get a little risky with it, and we got a pattern here, that descending wedge. So I think we could break to the upside here. It's looking like we got some good, strong support underneath it. So I think 44 cents below, 5 cents below us is good support. So that looks good. Here's NXE. Oh, look at that. So I drew this in kind of earlier here. And it's going right to the tip. And I can extend this one out. Extend this one out. Look at that descending wedge. It's going to break any second here now, guys. Probably to the upside because it's a descending wedge, which means if you like NXE, I would be looking at it like right here, right now on a break upward. So if this thing goes and you see it break to the upside here, right here, if it breaks above 506, 509, 510, it breaks, you're going to see a move on up. So that's, I think, right here. I'd be watching it. Descending wedges usually break to the upside. CVVUF. Here is a downtrend line there. We've got another line there. And we're coming on up. I'm looking at the lows, higher lows, stepping up into it. Going on sideways here. Just looking, it's like we broke kind of this guy coming through there to the downside. I have to see support before, I'd like to see this thing come on back up before doing anything with CVVUF. That's what it looks like. Going to Baseload. We got to zoom in here. Zoom in here. We've got the cup and handle pattern, looking at the right-hand side. Zooming on in. Back out just a hair. It looks like we've got some support underneath here at the top of this green line. We bounced off support again, broke this little downtrend line. This is really short term. This kind of bounces around a lot, but it looks good. I think this could potentially move on higher if we can see some buyers step in here and push it on higher. We got another kind of another trend line going here. It's almost like a descending wedge pattern there. And this here was like kind of more like a downtrend channel. So I think I could see this break to the upside here, hopefully short. Here is Fission 3.0. Big long-term perspective. We broke out of this big long downtrend. That's when I was like, let's go ahead and buy it. Got good support underneath it. Going to the 6 months. Again, we've got like a break there. And then draw the trend line up. We broke to the downside of this trend line. And that's where we're at right now. Kind of sitting right underneath it. Looking at Fission. So this is Fission, not 3.0, but the regular one. You draw it in here. Trend line break. I'm looking at this coming on up. And then we've got this coming here. Let's dive in here a little bit. 5-year, 1 year. You can see we're still in the pattern. 6 month, looking at it. Just keep going in and in and in. Got some resistance up here at about that right there. Definite resistance through there. Went back into the pattern. We've got support underneath here, all through this here area. There's support. So we've got support. Now we just need the buyers to step in. Hopefully it can hold. CCJ, looking at CCJ, and you can see I marked this one up already. That's what the all looks like. You can see this downtrend line's broken. That's what we want to see. We should be huge accumulators right here. Zooming on in, we got an ascending wedge pattern that's got going on here. We keep zooming in. There's your wedge. 6 month. And then what we did is we came up into this pattern right here. We broke to the upside and then boom, back down again. So we're breaking patterns, but we're still in this pattern here. Descending wedge too, and it broke to the downside. Let's see if this thing holds and we can turn it and reverse higher. We broke through a lot of support here, guys. I'd watch for a downside move, so watch out. We got better have the buyer step in to hold this thing higher or hold it up. Gazettem prom. Big picture view. Diving on in. Diving on in. What I see here is this pattern here is a ascending wedge. Broke to the downside. Zooming on in. You can see the break right here, the big sell-off. This looks like it wants to head lower to me. There's your sell-off. Oof. We could head lower for a Gazettem problem on the very short term. And it may not be a huge pullback, guys. It's the project, well, it could be a decent sized move if this heads lower and doesn't reverse to move on up. Consolidated uranium. That chart doesn't look too hot. I'm going to switch to NMF. NMF, looking at this, we broke this downtrend line. That's when you want to buy, all in this area. Zoom into the 1 year. We've got a resistance kind of through here. And then we've got, this little pattern that's coming. Maybe something like that. Coming in through here. Let's hope the buyers step in. Otherwise, we're right at the bottom line of that pattern. We're hanging out right at the bottom of it. So here's Boss Energy. Zoom out. Zoom in. Zooming on in. And you can just draw this guy right on top here. We'll see if this thing breaks. But that's what we've got. We've got a lot of resistance support down there. Broke through it. Coming up. We got to break one way or the other here very soon. We'll see which way it breaks tomorrow. Here's Lotus Resources. Zooming in. Kind of coming through here. We broke that pattern there to the downside. We do have some good buying pressure, at least at the end of today. So that looks good. I think we're still in the downtrend, though, after this break. So nothing really to update there. This is Uranium or Royalty Corporation. Big long-term perspective. Let's definitely zoom in here. That's what it looks like. We got the downtrend line break, squared it up, broke to the upside, and now we're coming up into this ascending wedge. We broke to the downside of that ascending wedge pattern. And what I am showing here is another break. I put a line here earlier in the like yesterday or so, came down. This is a low. It went and did a retest, and then we're breaking down potentially where we could head lower here and starting a new downtrend. So this is a new downtrend that we could potentially be starting here and a move lower. Encore Energy. Looking at Encore, it's right on its line over there on this pattern. Coming in through here, we're right at that support line. And we can draw another one through, kind of through here too. But we're still above it. Just here recently, we're dancing and playing with this move lower though. So we'll see if it holds. UU looks like it's trying to break to the downside. Big old pattern here. Broke that. Zoom in. Coming on up. You can kind of see we're squeezing on up into the top here. Broke to the upside, doing a return move, and we're basically doing a retest. Let's see if this thing holds. It's right on the line right now. It's a little bit below the line. So we'll see if this thing holds and if we can turn it back up. URG, I don't think I've written on this one. URG, just kind of looking. There's your downtrend line break. And what I'm looking for, are we squeezing up? There's that. I'm just going to draw this, kind of a break to the downside through this. Zooming in. There's your break to the downside. And I don't see a necessary bottom yet. A little bit of a short-term bottom, but I don't see anything turning yet. And then UEC, looking at UEC here, let me do all. We've got kind of this guy there, broke the big trend, downtrend line. We had a pattern that developed, broke to the upside, and we're still above that pattern. I think everything looks okay. We got a little shoulder, head, shoulder, little break to the downside. We're probably going to complete it here at about a $4 if we can head a little bit lower. And then maybe we'll have to see where it goes from there. So that's what I have for today. That's uranium. Looking at it from all these things, giving a big picture view, diving on in. To me, it looks like we're breaking to the downside on some of these. Was it just today kind of a sell-off day where the buyers are going to step in tomorrow? Tough to say. We'll have to see what happens. Now, am I going to sell? Am I going to do anything with these charts? No, I'm not, because I'm playing the big picture move. I'm playing the big long-term valuation, big long-term move. Market conditions are still intact. This is just a short-term cyclical pullback in a big secular bull market. That's kind of how I look at it. So I'm not doing anything with my shares. I'm just holding on, and I'm going to ride this stuff higher. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.